Dorsey talked about this decision on Sean Hannity's show. Kind of surprising, he went on there. But what do you make of Dorsey's defense here?
It feels like he's standing on his own, and he really feels like he can change Twitter on his own without following what has happened in the past, without seeing what other platforms are experiencing, and without learning. So that's the piece that really surprises me. We've learned so much in the past 5 years, and he's not incorporating any of that, building any empathy for the people who are being harassed on his platform, and instead he believes there should still be this free-for-all on Twitter that he can somehow control and manage.
It also seems to reverse some of the progress that Twitter has actually made in the last 2 months.
It's confusing to me. It's a surprise that he would not take this opportunity to really protect people on his platform who are being harassed. And I've seen people leaving the platform, and I've not decided for sure that I'm going to leave, but I'm not tweeting. I haven't tweeted for a day, and I don't feel like participating anymore. You feel like you're contributing to this site that is allowing harassment, that is allowing these hate speech and the harassment that comes from it on the platform, and contributing to it if you're participating in it.
Now, despite the fact that Facebook, Google, Apple, Spotify have all taken action against Alex Jones, the app, InfoWars, is rocketing up on the app charts. It's more popular than CNN, the New York Times, even Fox News. Is all of this hubbub just helping him?
We'll see, right? The jury's still out, but at least the people at those companies can feel like they have at least stopped their platforms from spreading it as much as possible. Apple, with keeping it on its platform, I'm not really sure. Google,
it's still in the App
platform.
Store, but they took off some of his podcasts.
Yeah, you make it a little bit harder. You put some friction into it. It's better than doing nothing, which is what Jack is doing.
Mm-hmm. So Kara Swisher wrote a post about how rules won't save Twitter, values will. I mean, the rules, to be fair, have never been clear at Twitter, nor has how they enforce the rules. But forget about where you draw the line. Is there a different way to draw the line? How you draw the line? Could Twitter do that differently?
So I am empathetic to the problem, because the rules can't address all the changing circumstances. So you have this clear rule, but people are trying to get around it, and you'll make mistakes, and it's always a problem. It never seems clear. But here, in this case, this is a person who is perpetuating harassment across the internet, and your product is being used as a tool for harassment. And these families who have had to go into hiding, like, where is your empathy for them? Is this what you want your platform to contribute to? I don't understand how you can keep this, encourage this type of information and encourage this use of your platform.
There's also the question of whether and how offline behavior should be considered. So Alex Jones, for example, could be potentially guilty of perpetuating violence against these families off the platform. How much should a platform like Twitter or Facebook consider that?
So we had this horrible experience at Reddit in 2013 in April, where people were trying to figure out what was happening in the Boston Marathon bombing, and somebody incorrectly identified a student as a potential person the potential bomber, and that person was a missing person. His name was Sunil Tripathi, and his family got harassed. They said terrible things about him all over the internet. And what I took from that is that, no, you can't just look at what's going on your platform, and it doesn't matter what people's intents are. They're trying to, find the bomber. The frenzy that social media creates, and the immediate actions that people take without thinking, and the immense harm that inflicts on individuals for no apparent reason, like that is something that you need to take into account. The fact that you're not the only reason doesn't mean that you're not a contributing factor, and doesn't mean that you abdicate all responsibility.
Given what you saw at Reddit and the choices you made, which were at times hard choices, if you were running Twitter right now, what would you do?
I would take that content off. I would really look hard at, offline and online. And I think Del Harvey sent out a message saying they are doing that. But
Del Harvey, who's running
Trust and Safety
right now.
And I think she's a very smart person. I think, this is your opportunity to really be transparent. Like, where are the rules? Where do you want people to behave, and where are you going to take people off the platform? And harassment should be one of the key things. This talk about free speech, when people like Lindy West, when Ta-Nehisi Coates, when others are coming off your platform because they don't feel like it's safe for them to share their ideas, and these are people who have resources, who are are out in the public eye in general, and they don't feel like your platform is safe for them, then where is the free speech? Where is the sharing of ideas? Where are these healthy conversational environments?
Now, even though Facebook took a stand against Alex Jones in this particular case, it's a platform that also continues to have a problem with how to deal with these issues. You recently tweeted either they don't understand, they don't get it, or they just don't care. Do you think that we saw for the first time Snap having a decline in sequential users? We saw Facebook have a decline in users in some regions. Do you think we've hit a social media peak?
It's a good question. I think people are realizing that it is, it's taken a while, but people are finally realizing this is not a wonderful utopian area of communication and change. It's become addictive. People are now putting in tools to track how much time of their users are using it, so that users can monitor and manage their time on these different sites. The harassment problem has become very evident, and then you also see the discrimination and the bias in the products. And I think people are now realizing, this is not where I want my kids all day long. This is not where I want to spend my own time. So how do I manage that? And as people get smarter and they realize that, this is not the best place for having a conversation, for learning new ideas. There's so much fake information out there. There is hopefully going to be another source where people are going to get information and have better conversations.
There's an author who wrote a book called Anti-Social Media who says there's nothing we can do to stop hate speech and misinformation on social media. The genie's out of the bottle. Would you agree, or is that too fatalistic?
I don't know. I think it's a good question. I don't think we have a CEO who is really willing to go out there and see if that's true or not. I think the actions that people are taking are kind of tepid, and it's let's follow somebody else if they do something, but let's all follow Apple. But then Apple was kind of, half-hearted in it because they continue to allow the app in its app store. So I'm not sure how we actually know if we can change it or not, if people aren't willing to experiment and take risks and really try to solve the problem.
You think a Twitter boycott could take off as a result of this?
I hope so, but it's hard because I'm thinking about, I don't want to be on the platform, but is it feasible? I was sitting in earlier and I hear how you're talking about at Bloomberg, go follow our Twitter feed. Here's our Twitter handle. And people are using it as a tool for sharing information and for communicating. And is that going to be good for my company, for my nonprofit, Project Include, if I'm not out there promoting the ideas and sharing and learning from it? So I don't know. I think it would be good. I think Uber changed when Delete Uber became a trending hashtag, but that may be the only way. I don't know what Twitter's board is doing. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't stepped in. I don't know where their heads are at, but this seems to be a pretty clear area where it needs some real leadership.
Right, where is the board? You famously, in your case against Kleiner Perkins and in your book, talk about how you wanted to invest in Twitter back in 2008. They declined and then decided to invest in 2010. What do you think now?
It was 2007, and there was so much opportunity. You can see how it connects people, and I've met so many wonderful people. I've had so many great conversations, but the harassment and the abuse, it's just too much. And then when you see what's happening offline, it's just sad because there's so much potential, there's so much good that can come from it. But unless Jack can understand what that harassment looks like and what that feels, to have your kids harassed, to have your dead kids harassed, I can't even imagine what that must feel like.
Last time you came on the show, you said that you thought Twitter should ban Donald Trump. Do you still believe that?
Yes, I think it's even worse, if anything. I don't follow him, but I see some of the, kind of fumes coming out in other people's tweets, and it's too much. What are your rules if they don't allow you to ban Donald Trump or, people who are making up information to harass other people?
What about then the half the country who loves Donald Trump, follows Donald Trump, and would hate that decision?
I think your rules are rules for a reason, and you want to create something based on some values, as you mentioned earlier. Like if your company and your employees value a harassment-free site, then you can't you can't have those outliers. We talked about this earlier about how in a company, if you have that, rock star engineer that you allow to harass and berate other people, you're going to have a culture where that is going to happen. And if you're, one of your most popular, most quoted tweeters is actually violating all of your rules, everybody's going to do that. Then your rules are not clear, as you mentioned, and you're not going to have clarity, and it's going to be a little bit of a free-for-all like Twitter is today.
In your experience, humans versus AI, does there always have to be some human judgment in here? Will AI ever be able to do this job?
I don't know. I think if you build AI to be thoughtful, and if you have people from different groups building it, if you have people who are thinking about the problems that happen to people who are not in the homogeneous dominant groups, then maybe you can have a better experience. But I do think we haven't seen that yet, and we haven't gotten there yet, and that the potential for what AI can do as technology improves and as as chips get faster and as software gets better, there's a huge threat. And are we really thinking about the right ways? It's nice to see some different groups really starting to think about it, but there's so much to do still, and it'll be interesting to see if those teams are inclusive. We're at Project Include, we really think that having that team that looks like what you are trying to market to, what your user base is important, and we're not seeing that in a lot of tech companies.